Travis Wayne Goodsell, church news coverage time. Today, the thing that caught my attention is, again, the church is stalking me. I did a video not too long ago in which I warned you that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is not prepared for a disaster. That when disaster strikes America, Utah, Mormons are going to go to the church asking for help. And the church is going to say, no. All of your tithing that you've been spending thinking it's fire insurance for Armageddon, the church is going to say, no. You do not get a return on your investment in our little gambling insurance company. No refunds. And so the church is not preparing for Armageddon. For the Great Depression, the church then came up with the idea after the fact, hey, let's do welfare square to help Mormons out. A little late, but they did it. They should have already had it prepared because we're Latter-day Saints. We're all about preparing for the latter days. And part of that is the church having food, water, and other basic necessities in case of an emergency. Because Mormons, even though they too would be following the example of the church, might get struck by the disaster and lose everything they've saved in preparation. Thus, the church would be there to pick up the slack. Simple enough. It's in the Bible. Joseph of Egypt. Let's build storehouses to prepare for the coming drought and famine. And in that particular case, Pharaoh sold it rather than gave it away. But in Malachi, what the church is twisted into being tithing for building of churches and temples and laundering money into LLC corporations and the stock market and giving it to our enemies so that they can cause Armageddon. Malachi tells us that tithing is for the storehouses, for the poor. And so instead we do fast offerings, which the fast offerings of the law of Moses wasn't for the poor. It was tithing. And Abraham didn't pay tithing to Melchizedek, who was Pharaoh. He's the king and high priest of the land. It was Pharaoh. But the author didn't want to acknowledge it was Pharaoh, so he called him Melchizedek. It was Amen, Emmanuel, the Egyptian sun god, who is Pharaoh. And that was a situation where Abraham had rescued his brother Lot, who had been kidnapped by a king in another kingdom, and gave a portion of the spoils, tribute, to Pharaoh, because it's Pharaoh's land. And having conquered the kingdom, Abraham gets his share of the royalties, but has to give tribute to the government. So it wasn't really tithing, but you see how much tribute was given, a tenth. So the church news is trying to claim that they are preparing. They've been around for over 200 years. Well, 1823. 23? Yeah, it's 23, wasn't it? When Brigham and Heber joined. So it's been since then that they knew that they needed to prepare for the latter days, and they chose not to. And so now the church is trying to put out a counter statement to me, even though nobody watches my videos, they still do it. That the church is participating in a disaster response organizations conference. It's held every year. The church doesn't go. The person in charge of this is Mormon. The church claims they participate. Now, the church is part of Utah State VOAD and Mountain West VOAD, which held its annual conference in Salt Lake City to focus on principles of preparedness. Yes, let's talk about being prepared. And response. I've had a job where I was a firefighter. We didn't talk about being prepared. We actually practiced scenarios as part of our preparedness. So Mary Richards of the Church News. I've never seen Garna. She does not do any reporting. When spring runoff caused Immigration Creek in Salt Lake City to overflow the night of April 12th, city managers looked to divert the water down the middle of the neighborhood street. And they needed lots of help because they weren't prepared. They knew the conditions of this valley and they weren't prepared. They knew what they needed to do and they weren't prepared. That's the story here. No, don't forget that. Don't be distracted. Lisa Bagley, a member of the Church of Jesus Christ and the president of Utah State VOAD. There's the church's participation right there. Her. Answered a phone call from city officials. So apparently Lisa's not even doing her job. Dear God. And so she was at a barbecue, fooling around, while people in Utah were suffering. It was at one of these conferences. The barbecue was for her conference. Is that how you prepare? You party all the time? There's the theme song in the description below. Elder Vitae on our mission said every day is P-Day. And so, yeah. And she was also near a manager in the church's welfare and self-reliance services department. And again, where was the church? Not even bothering. They have the people in position and they never use them until after. How is that preparation again? Oh, is that why they left the Boy Scouts? Because the Boy Scouts were all about be prepared? The church said, nah, we don't like that idea. We don't want our members to learn to be prepared. We want to react rather than be proactive. Now, this is just so sad that they think they're trying to respond to me, being responsive rather than proactive to shut me down before I even get the idea. They're not prepared for me because they're not hearkening to any kind of good spirit, which would tell them what they need to do to protect members in their Zion. And they're not doing it. They're instead practicing priestcraft. Should we read that to finish this off? Priestcraft. I think it's 2 Nephi 26. Yep. 29. He commandeth that there shall be no priestcrafts, for behold, priestcrafts are that men preach and set themselves up for a light unto the world. Church is participating. We have a member. They might get gain and praise of the world. Oh, good for you. But they seek not the welfare of Zion. Ta-da! And the Lord forbids it. Mormon Jesus doesn't.